Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is Motivation Monday, January 23rd, and welcome to another episode of Style by Stevie. I'm super excited about this week. It is Haute Couture Week and Paris Fashion Week for the spring 2023, and I am in full effect. Our very special guest is a New York-based theater and film actress, and she's also a comic as well too. And I'm super excited to have her here, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, Kathleen Wills. Hello, hello, and welcome to the Dollhouse.
Hello, Stevie. Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
It is such a pleasure to have you here. So, before we kick off this girl talk, how has 2023 been for you so far?
Wow. So far, so good. Yeah, I have no complaints. I'm busy, so keeping busy is always good. So really no complaints so far. I'm feeling momentum building as the days progress. So I hit the ground running this year so far. So I'm very happy. Yeah. So
Yes. Oh my goodness. Such a pleasure to have you here. Now, before we kick off this interview, you are a New York based theater and film actress, and you've dabbled in Shakespeare. So, tell us a little bit about that.
okay. Well, yes. Well put, by the way. you, you have a way with words. This my journey started in college actually, and I did start out doing Shakespeare. I played viola in Twelfth Night, and that was when I got bit by the bug, and I never looked back. So it actually started on a very high level when I knew nothing. I did not have any idea what I was doing, but I ended up really, ending up really learning from Shakespeare was a great foundation for my to build my career off of. And then from there, I just went on and did more theater and theater until finally branching into film, as you mentioned, and then some stand-up comedy. So, but I have a passion for Shakespeare. I studied abroad in England, and I went over there just to get more, just to get more immersed in this culture where Shakespeare was born and where they did, I went to the Globe Theater when it was actually being torn down before they rebuilt it. So I was really, really obsessed. I guess obsessive is what I was towards Shakespeare. And that's how I actually started my journey as an actor in this crazy career choice that I love so much, you know.
Now, you studied in England, so tell us about that.
Well, I went over as an abroad a student exchange. I went over and studied abroad through a student exchange program through my college, Keene University, and I was studying the British stage over there. Well, that's why I went, but I just went over there to get as much exposure to British stage as I could, and take a few classes. So through the program that I was in, I was able to catch, the Fringe Theater and a few wonderful productions over there. Really, really, learned as much as I could from those actors. Wrote a thesis statement, and came back. Basically, it was my way of learning what the British stage was like. As opposed to, or in comparison to the American stage, with the Broadway dream in mind. I really, really, really respected and really wanted to learn more about, the British stage and their training and their process and how they did it. And I was really, really impressed. And then came back and wrote about how, the naturalistic way that Americans do it. It's really, really quite different, but I feel there's strengths in both in what I learned and what I was able to observe. So that was my time over there, just studying as much as I could about and seeing as many productions as I could, while I was in England. So
Now, you've done some TV and film. Let's get right into it. Your credits include one of my favorite shows, and my look today kind of was inspired after her, Sex in the City. I love me some Sarah Jessica Parker. You've
nice.
done The Sopranos, Boardwalk Empire, Celebrity Ghost Stories, and the Rebecca De Mornay story. So tell us a little bit about some of your credits. And out of all that I just named, because you have so many, I could go on and on, which one holds a very special place to you?
Right. Well, I'm very open and candid. I'm not going to say that I've ever done anything that I didn't. So I will say straight away that those roles were very tiny. I mean, they weren't even really roles in a lot of those big productions that you mentioned. Except, I guess I will say The Sopranos, really, really way back when it was really popular. I jumped in on
Oh
that,
yeah.
and I got on that show a couple of times. And again, no major roles at all, just on the set, just sitting next to James and all this, and and being able to
Yeah.
chat with them and being in the scene was to me I mean, just to me it was a very pivotal moment in my life, in my career, because I was able to just rub elbows with them. So that's why I would have to say that was one of my favorite credits, because I really got to get some hands-on experience and talk to them and be there, and it was just an amazing experience. So Sopranos, in terms of TV, I guess.
And God bless his soul. James Gandolfini was one of the most amazing actors. Did he ever give you any advice after taping, after, through during the show? Did he ever give you any advice?
Well, here's the funny thing. So on set, one thing it was happening with him. So on set, there was three times. I bumped into him maybe 3 or 4 times, right? Twice off set and 3 times on set. On set, the first time we did a scene, I was wearing a red sweater like I am today, like Aries red. That's me. And he said he called somebody over, and they're pointing at me. I said, "Oh my God, what did I do? What did I do? What did I do wrong now?" And next thing you know, they come over to me. The assistant, the production assistant says, "Excuse me, you have to come with us." I said, "Why? What did I do? What did I do?" They said, "You have to change your shirt." I said, "Why?" They said, "Because it's red, and James doesn't want the attention the eye to go towards your sweater or your shirt because it's bright red." And me, I had no idea again what I was doing back then. I wore bright red. Everybody knows don't wear bright red, right? So me, I wear bright red, and James didn't like it. So I thought to myself, oh my gosh, this guy is, not only is he brilliant, like he has eyes everywhere, not just on himself, but he's really looking out for the overall production, for
Yeah.
Sopranos. Then the next time I'm on set with him, I had a baby carriage. I was a baby. I mean, a mom. I was more like a baby. I
Oh.
had a baby, and it was wheeling the carriage around, and he comes up to me and he's like, "That kid in there is looking pretty. I don't know. It doesn't look like he's going to turn out too good. His face doesn't." I think he said something about, like, he made a joke about the way that the dummy baby looked in the carriage, and I started laughing. And he just had a very playful way about him. So I said, "Thanks." I said, "It's not mine. It's not really mine." He's like, "Yeah, I'm good. He doesn't look anything like you." He's making a joke. So that was the second time. And then I saw him, he was shooting a commercial, Amex commercial, and I ran right up to him on the street, right in Times Square. And I'm like, "James, remember me? I'm the one with the red shirt." I was the one wearing the red shirt. He goes, "Oh yeah, yeah." Even if he didn't remember me, he was so sweet and such a nice man. He's so talented. He says, "Of course I remember you. How you doing? Doing all right? You doing good? Everything's good?" I said, "Yeah, everything's great. Very inspired by you, James." He said, "Okay, I'm glad. I'm glad. Thanks. I got to get back now." They're calling him back. He says, "Nice talking with you." And then he left. And saw him on Broadway too. He was in that wonderful piece he did.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a really big fan of his. Admire. Thanks for bringing more attention to him during this, because he really inspired me. And being on set with him, my first time ever, was really somebody who I could say that inspired me to go on more and more and learn what not to do on set. You know, so
And he just had such a vision, the complete opposite of his character on The Sopranos. So to see that human side of him, because of the subject matter on the show, it was so serious and everything. To see him outside of that is just amazing. Now, you've done some stand-up comedy as well too. So tell us a little bit about that.
okay, yes. So I dabbled in stand up. I took a course, and I did a showcase at the Gotham Comedy Club, which is in Chelsea area of New York City, and and I and I and it was fun, and I have great respect for all comics across the board, particularly females. I know what they're up against, but I did learn. I wrote my material. I learned how to write a joke, how to land a joke, how to cut right to the chase of telling a joke. And then I had a nice little couple of 3-minute set going on, which, you know, I did for the showcase, and I got a lot of feedback from it, which helped me to go on and do some more showcases at Broadway Comedy Club. And where else did I do? Oh, New York Comedy Strip up on the Upper East Side. I think Seinfeld and a couple others came out of there. But again, these are not like big shows. Like I'm not like, and everyone's here to see me. I was just doing these bringer shows. I was just literally doing, maybe if I got a spot, I got like a 7-minute spot one time, you know, and I was just going around doing that. And I found how challenging that is. And I found how challenging it is to maintain friendships that are willing to do that, to bring, you know, to come out to your bringer shows and all that stuff that you have to do. And so one lesson I learned was that you really have to be really into the comedy and really commit to it. You know, I did my thing on Robert De Niro. That was the first thing that I did at comedy at Gotham. First, right out of the gate, I'm telling everyone my obsession about Robert De Niro. And it really landed. Everyone loved it because I really have an obsession with Robert De Niro. Like everyone in my life goes back to Robert De Niro. Everyone I married someone who was Robert De Niro's waiter, you know, at Tavern on the Green. I'm dating people that were Robert De Niro's hand double in Meet the Fockers, you know, like all this stuff. And I put it all together into a comedy routine because I realized that the reason why I was with these people were because I was so obsessed with Robert De Niro, and it got a good laugh, and it's on YouTube and all that. But I've changed a lot from there, and I think that I was dropping F-bombs left and right. And in comedy, you don't have to do that. You don't. You know, if it's necessary and it feels right in a moment, then by all means drop them like, you know, bombs. But I really found that I came out a little bit too harsh. And so now if I go back out there, I have a writer who's going to help me. And I want to make people laugh. The goal is laugh. You don't have to be crude about it, you know, and all topics should be open, but we're in a sensitive world. But so, you know, being funny is great. And I don't think that you can really like put any kind of like, you know, put comics in a box per se. It's really hard, you know. So I'm going to get out there again. Thanks for asking about it. You know, it's just something I love to do, you know, make people laugh. So.
Now, one thing people don't know about you also is that you are the recipient of the Distinguished Directors Award at Kean University for Outstanding Performance and Rehearsal Technique. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, yes. That was Kean University in New Jersey. That's where I went to college. And one person out of every year wins that award. I was in the theater. I was majoring in theater, and I was the recipient of that award, which meant that I, you know, out of all the people that were doing the acting and taking all the classes in the theater program, they chose me to be the recipient of that award. And I'm so proud of that award, you know, because it was I went into college to become, I didn't have the confidence to become like a teacher. And I said, oh, let me go on this audition. And when I grabbed that first audition for 12th Night, I never looked back. I said, I got something here, you know, and then I won the award. And in that process of winning the award, I played Helen for the college, Helen in Helen Keller, you know, and they gave me a standing ovation. I mean, again, this is a small pond, you know, but for me, it was like winning the Oscar, you know. After I came to New York, I was a nobody after that. But during that period, I won that award. I played Helen Keller, Viola, 12th Night. I directed a couple of comedy pieces, short one acts as well when I was there. And Agnes of God, I played Agnes, if you know that particular play as well. So I was getting all the lead roles. And then I guess when the board decided to give me the award, I remember it like yesterday, you know, it was just such an amazing accomplishment, and I really loved that. And that's what gave me the boost to go to England, and then from England come to New York, and here I've been ever since, you know. Finally got my equity card. And so again, that's another, I guess, landmark in my, what are they called? Bookmark or landmark or a pivotal moment in my career.
Milestone.
There we go. That was my milestone. My next milestone was getting my equity cards. So, but yeah, that's what it was like. It was college, but it was great. I was really proud
Now,
of that
I'm going
award.
to go back for a second because you said something that was very pivotal. You said female comics, and in this industry that is so male dominated for us as women, my question for you is for a woman who's in the industry, and I'm pretty sure you've had your challenges as well as myself, what advice would you give to other women that are looking to get into directing? Because you've directed a film, Molly, a short film, Molly, so we'll talk a little bit about that. But what advice would you give to young women or women in general who are looking to get into this business because it's male dominated in all angles for all of us as women?
Sure. Just a correction. I didn't direct Molly. I was an actor in that. I have directed plays, but I just wanted to let you know
Okay.
that right away. But anyway,
Okay.
so you're asking for my advice, my opinion, or my advice to women, right? Okay.
Yes.
So I don't like to generally like think too much. I like to go right off the top of my head when people ask me this question, because I think sometimes it gets too, if you think too much about it, you tend to like second guess yourself. So my first thing to
Yes.
say is, as a woman to women, particularly directors or even stand-up or any women out there that are in the arts, don't think about ever, what you're doing and having to prove yourself. Number one, you are a woman. That's it. Everyone can see that. That's great. So then you just do your job, do your work, use your talent. And then the gender always comes in as an afterthought. At least for me, it does. I'm neck and neck and I'm going at it with people and my mind's clicking and I'm completely enthralled in my creative process. And I look up and there's 8 men and me. That's when I notice that I'm the only woman in the room. Like I never really connect to gender in terms of that. If people do it to me, I always look back in retrospect and say, oh, I see where they were going with that, or oh, I see where they were going with that. Why did I say something? But I never, in the moment, I'm not there because my mind's not there. I'm not looking for a leg up because I'm a woman, and I'm not looking to be treated any different because I'm a woman. I'm looking to be respected for my art. And if I'm a woman doing that, great. If you're a man doing that, great. But if it becomes combative, and it does, I've seen it. I tend to like it has no place in art. It will only take away from the art and it will only destroy people in terms of their art because there's no need for it. Art is genderless, in my opinion. So my advice is never look at it from that perspective. You look from the inside out as an artist and don't look at other people, what their genders are. And I think that all genders will find each other. There'll be a mixture of men and women. I went and I was doing stand-up. I was the only woman, and they were shaking my hand at the end because they were like,
Right.
this was all, yeah, it was all in good, fair play, right? And I said, yeah, no worries. I did. They were afraid I was going to be offended. I'm not offended unless you offend me. Now, if you offend me and I know you're offending me, I'm going to call you out on it, you see. But I think the mindset for women should be that you are an artist first and foremost. First and foremost, you're an artist, and secondly, you should never even allow people to get you to hook you into those arguments, because believe me, they'll try to hook you into saying something, maybe intentionally, maybe not, maybe they want to see what you're going to say. Don't even take the bait. Let it go. Like, don't even take the bait unless it's something that you're specifically, in a room discussing with someone, this is how I am affected and this is how I want to be treated. Otherwise, it's just bait, in my opinion. So know your worth, put your art out there. Don't let anyone ever tell you gender is important. It's not, in my opinion. It's really not. As a woman, we're a lot, we have our strengths as men do, but I think one of our strengths, besides being nurturing, we also have a very keen sense of being able to multitask and know what's going on all around us. So we're like a whip. So don't even, right? Don't even try to bring anything that's not at our level to the table, or try to minimize anything that we're doing to the table, because we just knock them right out of the box the minute you see it coming. My third advice to the woman would be, to women out there listening, would be to just cut that right out. Chop. Don't even let that. Once you see that coming at you, chop the legs right off, or the head. Don't let it even come into your process, and you will succeed. You will succeed. So.
I make it my business on this platform to encourage women all over the world that are watching, to let them know, because everything I'm going to be completely honest. I'm a woman of color, and it's completely different for me, my experience. So I've had to speak out. And I was watching a conversation with an actress. It was, no, Hillary Clinton and Meg Thee Stallion, and they were saying what makes a woman gutsy. And I think what makes a woman gutsy is just like you said, challenging it head on. You know, you're gonna have your doubters out there in this industry that is so male dominated. But I'm the type of gutsy woman. I go for the gusto. And what I mean by that is my passions, my dreams, whatever it is that inspires the next generation, go for it. And that's my advice to women that are watching this conversation as well too, because you're getting it from both sides of the coin. And there is a new time. I think it was Patricia Arquette, and she said something on one of these award shows. I think it was the Emmys, when she was talking about equal pay for women in the industry. She's saying that women deserve to be treated equally as well as a man, because we know that in this business, males, when it comes to actors and comics, men are going to get more. For every dollar that a man makes, a woman makes 92 cents. And that is the stats. It's like we're still in the Stone Age, but we're coming out on top. And women are now saying, we're not going to tolerate this anymore. And you're seeing the Salma Hayeks of the world. You're seeing the Sharon Stones, and all of these actresses are speaking out and saying, no more. I've tolerated enough. And even talk show host Meredith Vieira, she says this, pardon my French, she says, I'm damn mad about it. I'm damn mad. She asked an actress on the interview, yes, and I'm pretty sure it bothers you too, Kathleen, as well as myself, because I talk to all women about it, and they're just like, you go and you look at one of your, because I've had male co-hosts on this platform. I love you, Johnny, EJ, and Marco, but right now it's girl talk, so it's good to be transparent, and the guys understand me. You know, I've worked with men, so I understand. And I talk to them behind the scenes, and the guys understand. They listen. They're just like, we understand. We understand. We get it. Women are coming up on top, and they are saying that we're not going to tolerate this anymore. We want our just due as well, too. And we can do our job just as good as a man. So misogyny is everywhere in this business. And I can't just sweep it under the rug for me. So I want to advocate for all women, women all over the world, because I know there's something greater for each and every one of us. If Leonardo DiCaprio can get a high pay raise, why can't Meryl Streep? Meryl Streep says, well, you know, I deserve what I am worth as well too, as well as Viola Davis, the next woman, and the next woman. So it's like we're fighting to get the same equal treatment that our male counterparts are getting. And it's still stuck there where we're getting 92 cents and men are getting a dollar more than what we're getting. So it's just like, call it out for what it is in this business and let it be known. So that's why I had to ask you, one woman to another woman, because our experiences are different, but we're women at the end of the day, and we know that we're going to encounter this. So I'm glad that you didn't encounter that at the comedy club, Kathleen, because you've mentioned it. And I think it was Amy Schumer, Leslie Jones, and Wanda Sykes. All of these women that are in the arena of comedy have spoken out about misogyny and not being paid equal to their counterparts that are in the business, like Will Ferrell or somebody like that, to be example. Even on Saturday Night Live, there's been claims of things coming out behind the scenes. So we're seeing that shift in the industry and comedy, where female comics are saying, where's equality? I want equality for myself as well too.
Absolutely.
And we're seeing that change. So I had to talk about that.
Yeah.
Now, goodness, it was a lot. It was a lot.
No, we
deserve and everything.
We should be paid equally, absolutely, across the boards, and we have to fight for it. But the more vocal, the better. We will be heard. Hopefully, that's the goal. And the other thing is, I was going to just off of what you said, another credit that women should be doing is producing, because as a producer, you get your money, and you can, we have to be producing, because when you're a producer, you have much more control, power, blah blah blah, and you can call the shots. So, and I like to see more women doing that as well, producing.
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
Who was it? I think it was Sybil Shepherd. Sybil Shepherd had her sitcom, Ellen, all of
Yes,
these women, Ava
yes,
DuVernay, all of these women are stepping behind the lens
yes.
instead of being in front of the lens. We're seeing them step behind the lens. So I'm glad you touched on that, Kathleen, because we're seeing the rise of female directors, female producers, even in the Marvel universe.
Hmm.
It's a male-dominated Marvel Comics. It's a multi-million-dollar brand, but we're seeing women get behind the lens and roll the camera as well too. Not just the guys. They're stepping in and they're saying, if men can do this, I'm qualified and I can do this as well too. But yeah, we're seeing that shift and it's coming along. And I thank God for it in this business. So I think that these type of conversations can be beneficial to women at home as well too, who are working, you know, that are working moms and every day, and they're just looking at their husband's paycheck and it's like he's getting more than me. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm doing these things as well too. I'm balancing out. I'm working, and it's just like, hey, where's the pay that I'm getting? I should be getting what he's making. So women are starting to open their eyes and see the bigger picture. And I love what you said. You said know your worth. In this business, as a woman, you have to know your worth because I faced so many forms of misogyny. You know, one of them is being an African American woman and just being a woman in general, being told, no, you can't do this because of this, the color of your skin. You can't do this because you're a woman. You're not they don't think already that women in general were not qualified for the position. And I give you a big example, Hillary Clinton. A lot of people were not ready for a woman to be president.
I'm very happy that we have a governor though here in New York, Kathy
Yes.
Hochul. So, and I hear what you said about that about Hillary. Not to like change the subject, but again, this is for me very important. This is a big step, and she came out fighting, and I really am watching her. She's on my radar, and I love that because I know that. The more women in office now that we, change a little subject there, we, the better off we'll be as well. We're just really great at
Yeah.
multitasking and just making things happen and just seeing things for what they are and organizing things and having like a there's a driving force that I think anything that you want to bring to fruition has to have. And I've heard men say, oh, I'm the driving force and all that, but I really think women are. At the end of the day, I really think women are the driving force because without us, the whole thing falls apart. They end up in a bar watching TV because they get lazy. Like they'll do a little work and they'll go, all right, guys, I'll have a little man talk, right? And then they'll go and they'll find their friends and they'll be like they'll talk about all they did all day while women are still working. Women are still hashing it out,
Right.
because we're perfectionists and we get meticulous about things and sometimes people, oh, get her off my case. Yeah, get her off my case, but then I'm auditioning for something the end of the month, and I'm working with a scene partner, a male. He's great, knows his lines. We get into the rehearsal. He forgot a line or he messed it up, and he's trying to tell me I did it. And I jump in. I know my lines, and you better get your lines straight because, oh, it was me. It was me. He says, and I'm like, but that's okay. I say to him because we're in this together. I'm not coming down with the whip so that the men will run away. I'm coming down with strength. Like, look, I know my shit and I want you to know your shit too. And we're great, besides nurturers, teachers. And I think that women have that ability to tell men, get back in the workforce and get your stuff done, when most men need that push. And where do they get that push? From a woman. At least this is my experience. This is what
Exactly.
yeah, it's
And
true.
so many of us are mothers. We're the aunts. We're the daughters. We're the nurturers. Women make the world go round. We revolve, make the world revolve. And without us, it's not just that. We help each other out. Even with my male co-host, shout outs to Johnny. I love him. He'll forget. I'll send him certain topics because we used to talk about what goes on in the news and in the world and everything on my platform. And then we did that shift where I just said, I want to do straight up amazing conversations and interviews that make people happy and bring them joy. And sometimes he would forget that I would send him the topics and I'm just like, he didn't see it. So he wouldn't have his phone or tablet with him that day. And I said, don't worry, I got you. I've already remember what they are. And we go from there. So, if you have a co-star or a co-host, they'll feed off of your energy. Now, if you're doing theater, because Kathleen has done theater,
Oh yes.
it's a completely different experience. Not like how, well, kind of, sort of, but if you're doing theater, you better make sure that you remember your lines on time, and the audience can catch on to it easily. If you mess up or if you do anything, just keep going. You have no choice but to keep going because the audience is going to catch on to it. You know, do your own thing and be original. If this is something that you're serious about doing, acting, and I've interviewed some actors who've done theater, who've done Broadway, and they're just like, when you're in real time and there's a whole audience out there watching you, keep going. Because the audience, well, even if you're doing like a live sitcom or something, the audience will catch on to it, and they'll be like, "Was this planned?" They won't be able to tell the difference or not. So yeah.
So true. So true. Yeah. Theater prepares you for everything. If you can do theater, you can do anything. And that's why I love it so much. You're all in. There's no, you can't half-ass anything in theater. And that's why I had someone ask me recently, oh, I just came over here from LA, California. I want to get into theater. I want to get on Broadway. What do you suggest? And I said, take a class. And she laughed. She said, is it true that what they say, you're not a real actor unless you've done theater? And I went, yes. But again, if you can do theater, you can pretty much manage your way around like any medium. I think it's that intense, and it's that incredible at the same time. You know, it's my passion. So you just hit a soft spot for one of my soft spots there, because I really love theater. It's what I lived for, what I live for every day, even though I'm not doing it. And that's another story. Like when we're not doing it, what do we do with ourselves? It's so challenging, right? But I keep in it. You have to keep in it. So that's why I've written my own plays and I've produced and directed and started my solo shows, and all of it's been on stages, New York stages. You know, it's an adrenaline thing. I guess it's a high. You get a high from it. You really do, you know? So.
And it makes you feel good just being in theater. If you've done theater, like some of the actors that I've interviewed have done Kinky Boots, they've done Chicago, they've done Maleficent, all of these big name, The Wizard of Oz, all of these big name classics, they've done them all on Broadway. And when you're in that light, it's something different. When that light hits on you and you're on stage and you're there with your co-stars and everything, it's a whole different arena. And I'm getting goosebumps talking about it because I've never been to Broadway. I've never seen anything live, but to be able to interview actors who've done that and to be able to showcase their talents and what makes them happy, to see the photos, to see the imagery, and then when it all comes out in the end result, when it's time to close the curtain, it's amazing. It's amazing. Even when you're doing live TV sitcoms, actors will literally say, okay, this is something that brings me joy. This is something that brings me happiness. So my last 3 questions for you, Kathleen, because I know I can't keep this woman. She is very busy, ladies and gentlemen. This is such an amazing girl talk. Is tell us a little bit about your role in Molly. You played the role of Kathy, and it's an amazing project. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yes. So that was a short. And I'm always trying to say the names right. I just want to make sure I get Chris Stenson. Yeah. So Chris Stenson was the director. I want to make sure I say his name correctly. Chris Stenson. He asked me to do that audition for this, and I landed the role, and it was really, really a great solid film. I played the role of a wife of a man out in Long Island. And I had a couple scenes out we had like a backyard party situation. And Tina Alexis, I don't know if you know her or not. If you look her up next, she's out in LA. She played the lead in it. And oh my God, Tina Alexis, I want to make sure that I get her name right, but her name, Tina Alexis, she wrote a book. I read her book. She's an amazing woman. I learned a lot from working with her in this particular film, because right now, as you asked me, I'm trying to find the premise in the back of my mind. It was so long ago, and I can't recall. I know it was about a woman who was estranged from her family and this and that, and she came home, and I was the mother, and I played like the housewife from Long Island, whose name was Kathy. but playing off of her was amazing. We kept in touch, and she's the one that introduced me to Susan Batson. Susan Batson, if you're familiar with Susan Batson, she coached Nicole Kidman, excuse me, who won her Oscar from doing Virginia Woolf. I'm doing this because of the nose that she had. That's why I'm doing this, because I'm trying to Virginia Woolf a movie that she did, and she won the Oscar for that, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, Susan Batson is like another one like that I studied with very briefly. I did an intensive with. So it was working with Tina, who put me in touch with, this is how you network. You see, I did the film Molly. I met Tina. I went and studied a little bit with Susan Batson, took an intensive with her, found out she's all in, like scary all in. Like it's scary all in. Like I'm method. I come from method, so I know like the process, but Stanislavski and Russian Moscow Art Theater and all that from Columbia University. I studied with the greats that came from Russia were at Columbia, and I was able to grab that program and take full advantage of these masters, right? And but Susan Batson, one thing, she has a book called Truth. I highly recommend reading the book Truth, because the book is amazing. Read the book, and then when I went in and met her, never felt an energy like that before in my life. Like it's an energy where, and I think some people have a gift of knowing, like, you know, when I say knowing, I mean they're psychic. I mean really psychic. And a lot of people in the arts, we do have that, right? Mm-hmm. We have that. So she had something, and I was feeling it, and she had it. And so, but when it came to time to like really show yourself to her, I had too many barriers up. You know, you have to be enabled in order to be a true artist. You've got to break it all down. I wasn't completely broken down, and she was breaking them down left and right, like just melting these people. And I'm just like, whoa! And it was an experience for me to see that. I've never seen it so intense like that. But so I learned a lot from her, and one thing I learned from her was that she asked me, how are you feeling right now? And I said, you know what, Susan, I'm feeling very numb. And she looked at me, she went like that. That was my only good note that I got from Susan Batson, because by saying that I was numb, that was telling me and her and everyone that I'm not feeling anything. And if I can't feel anything, I can't do my job as an actor. Like I can't perform. I can't not even perform. I cannot get to the essence of what I'm trying to do because I'm numb. So that was my takeaway. And that why I went off on a tangent there was because, again, Molly, I was still like, you know, working out some kinks in my process of, and I'm always working out kinks, you know, as an actor, you should always be getting better. I feel I'm better as I get older, because when I'm younger, I don't know what I'm doing. Plus I don't have all those tools from experience that I bring with me in my toolbox to each project that I go to. Each project I've lived a little bit longer. I've experienced more, and I have more to bring to the table as an artist. So that's my takeaway with that. I just want to share that with you. But yeah, that's how I met her, through Molly from that film. So.
And shout outs to Fired by Nate, amazing fashion designer. Make sure you guys please go and follow him. He says Tina Alexis Allen. He says one of her books is Hiding Out. Yes.
Thank you. Hiding Out. Tina Alexis Allen. Read her book also. It's the story of her life. It'll blow you away with this woman's experience, what she went through, how she ended up finally getting to Hollywood, being in an amazing. She got cast she got cast in a very great series that went on for a very long time, playing a hillbilly-ish type character. Then that ended. Now she's out there doing her own thing. Love her to death. She's a great inspiration for me. Tina Alexis Allen, that's her name. But yeah, highly recommend reading her book Hiding Out as well. So
welcome if you're just joining in, Fashion Dolls. We are going to get into our games with Kathleen here, ladies and gentlemen. The first one is called the Rapid 5. Kathleen has to tell us 5 things that she can't live without. And the next one is going to be called Her Thoughts. So I'm going to name some amazing, powerful women who are also actresses as well, too. And Kathleen, she has to give me one word to describe each woman. All right? So we're going to start off with the Rapid 5. Now, the Rapid 5, it can be your favorite your favorite type of coffee. It can be your favorite food. It can be your favorite thing that you can't live without daily. Like I love affirmations. It can
Mm.
be things that you can't live without for your life. So let's go with the rapid five, ladies and gentlemen. What are five things that Kathleen can't live without?
Okay, so number one is my son. Gotta have him. Gotta have him. Without him, it doesn't mean anything. And then right up there is my dog. I can't. I have a dog, my Osco, with my son Nicholas. And then living without, right? Being without is for me. I can't wake up and it's hard, but I have to be around water and sun. Like I could never live in an area ever without swimming and
Yeah.
sun. And here I am in New York saying that, but I joined the gym and make it happen, and I put myself under a sun lamp. But I can't. It's like a flower, like you can't blossom without those things. I feel like sometimes. And then in terms of living, I can't live without theater. At first, I thought it was just acting, and now that I haven't done theater in so long because I transitioned to film and TV, I found that I'm not fully alive. And I mean this sincerely. Like, I'm not kidding now. I get sick if I'm not doing theater. When I do theater, I become alive. Uh, I become present, and I become happy. Like it's a happy that you feel way deep down. It hits a spot way deep down in your core. So is that five? Is that five? Or no? I have one more.
Yes, one more.
One
That'll be
more.
fine.
The other thing that I need, music. If I don't have music in my life, I'm dead. Dead. And if I have a moment to really quickly, I don't know how much time I have. I want to say this is very important to say. I've moved around a lot, as a lot of artists have, right? I lived on the Upper East Side. I lived in every borough you could imagine. I lived in Washington Heights, okay? And I lived in the tiniest little room. But let me tell you something. I can't believe, looking back, why I wasn't depressed out of my mind. Why I didn't end up on meds and in an insane asylum. And it's because in the Heights, Washington Heights, okay, here in Manhattan, everywhere you go, you can't live, you can't breathe, you can't get up in the morning, as annoying as it can be, without music and food and family. That culture in Washington Heights, I'm not talking just about Spanish. There's other cultures, Italian and other cultures, but these particular cultures, they have in their daily life music. You go to the store, music. You go to the gym, music. You're walking down the street, music. You're in your home, music. You're at a doctor's office, they got the music playing. Up on the Upper East Side, it's very limited access to music, and I've noticed what's wrong with me. That's what's wrong with me. As long as I have music in my life, there's a flow, there's a beat. I'm a happy person. And I found that out, and I just made a mental note to share with you, because that really is what changed me, and why I'm having like a little bit of a difficulty staying up all the time lately, because there's no, you gotta have music everywhere. So that's it.
Just
That's
to
my
keep
fun.
you going and flourishing throughout the day, and music motivates you and uplifts you. So I
Yep.
agree with that one as well too.
Yep.
All right, fashion dolls, it is time
So,
for her thoughts.
oh,
And I'm going to name some amazing women, and Kathleen has to give me one word to describe each actress. All right. So the first actress that we're going to start off with is Sigourney Weaver.
okay. I met her once. Okay, sorry, this doesn't matter. Okay. I would have to say, for me, right? This is coming from me, right? One word, mysterious. She's a mysterious woman to me. That's her aura that I got from her. Mysterious.
Oh. The next is Halle Berry.
Oh yeah. That is jazz, like just jazz. She's just a jazzy person, if that's a word. That's a word. Yeah, jazz. She's she's got great energy. So the word would be jazz for her, Halle Berry.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
The word for Michelle Pfeiffer is definitely calculate. I'm doing adjectives. I shouldn't do adjectives, should I? Doesn't matter, right? Okay. I'm doing adjectives. I shouldn't be doing that. But for me, for her, it's people. It, I cool and calculated. Cool and calculated is Michelle
Mm.
Pfeiffer, for sure. Yeah, cool and calculated.
Okay, we have two more choices, fashion dolls. Are you ready? Drew Barrymore.
Oh my fave. Her essence, the word for Drew Barrymore is love. There's like no other word that comes to mind when I think about Drew Barrymore. If I was to be asked, who would you want to go and hang out with? You have one woman in Hollywood to choose. It would be Drew Barrymore. I would want her to be my
Love
BFF.
her.
I love that woman like you wouldn't believe. Love. That's Drew Barrymore in essence. She captivates love. Other things, but love
And
for sure. Yeah,
the last woman, last but certainly not least, Kathleen Wilson.
I'm the worst of this. You know what? I am. I guess I'm a professional. In everything I do, that's how I. That's the only way I can say. I don't want to. I can't. I'm not a horn tuner. Or like, oh yeah, I'm a great actor. I would love to say that. You have to do that on social media, but I would have to say a professional artist is the way I would like to be seen, how I see myself, because I take the steps not just as an artist to do whatever gives me fair game to do whatever I want. No, it gives me more responsibility, as a professional to be able to share my art. So professional artist, that's how I see myself.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Her thoughts. These amazing women who are also actresses, actress upon actress, building connection and connection. Now it is time for the closing thought. This was such a great girl talk, Kathleen. We got to
Thank
have
you.
you back on in the future, girl. Like, this was amazing to see women and women bond and connect and just network and showcase to other women around the world that this is how it should be. Definitely. No, with everything going on, you have to come together more than anything. So I'm going to let Kathleen take it away because she dropped some gems throughout this interview, and I hope you guys caught one. One of them was know your worth. And for my ladies out there, for us as women, we go through so much from body image. We look through magazines, and we're now in a day and age of social media, and it puts even more pressure on us because we are equipped to, we're always having to change certain things about us, whether it's we want to get something done. So it puts a lot of pressure on us as women. So know your worth, know your value, know that you are beautiful inside and out, because we know that society puts pressure on us as women to have a certain body type, to have a certain face, to have a certain look. We have to make sure that we are loving ourselves first, and that is key. So, Kathleen, any final thoughts? What gems would you like to leave young women in the year? Because we are now in 2023. It's a whole new year. We are no longer in 2022. What gems would you like to leave to young women going into the new year?
For young women out there, I'd like to say it's very important that I'm seeing lately, or I've been catching on to lately, is the fact that that besides knowing your worth, because you are younger and you don't have the experience as older women do, and what life throws at you, you really have to understand that you are your own person, and you're what you have to market yourself as, not what you do outside externally, but who you are internally. That's who you market. You market who you are from an internal perspective. You walk in the room, you go down the street, you're talking with people, it's you are branding yourself through your personality, your soul, your heart, your spirit. It's coming through your eyes, and you're looking in the eyes of other people, and you have to be very aware of who you share your time and energy with,
Yeah.
because and know your strengths, but also know just as equally your weaknesses. If you come from troubled homes, you better address that shit right away. Don't let that stuff pile down, because it'll come out to bite you in the long run, and there are people out there, unfortunately, that will see that and try to take advantage of that. So really, really ground yourself with a mental clarity mental health before you do anything. And you don't need anyone. Other thing, very, very last point, you don't need anyone. I need a boyfriend to help me. I need a manager to help. Nobody manages me. I manage myself. You don't need anyone except yourself. And when you're ready, they will come to you. And you have to be going out there, but you have to have work with discernment. Discernment comes with age, as we know, but you really have to try to build discernment from a very early age, because these people will come at you at all walks and forms, your friends, your family, and they're not necessarily going to have your best interest. So if you really want to succeed with the least bumps possible, know who you are, what you're selling, who you're hanging out with, and what you need to work on before someone else could take advantage of it. Because to build more strength means no one's perfect. You have to be able to know your weaknesses and know how to set up boundaries around them so no one can get in. It's very important to build this structure as you move forward in life. You'll be very successful, I think. It's a good strategy.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jay Evans. I'm glad you enjoyed. I'm glad all of you enjoyed this Girl Talk with actress Kathleen Wilkes. This was an amazing conversation and interview, and I hope you guys took something from this conversation. Know your worth, know your value, and more importantly, never let anybody take advantage of you and take you for granted. In this business, it happens, and there's nothing wrong with, I love what Kathleen also just said to finish it off. I love what she just said about you don't need a manager, you don't need this, you don't need a boyfriend. There's nothing wrong with being an independent woman and being able to think for yourself. It's a quote by Ayn Rand, an actress. She was way in the era of Marilyn Monroe and all of these actresses that came before, the Nicole Kidmans, the Halle Berrys, the Viola Davis. She said something, and it's a quote that goes like this: "You tell me no, and I will show you." And it's something to that extent. And it's showing people your power, showing people how capable you are, and knowing the strength that is within you. So I just wanted to finish off that. We have another Girl Talk lined up tomorrow with actress Neriata Velasquez. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow at 4. And Kathleen, let everyone know where they can follow you at.
Sure. My website is my name, Kathleen Wilce, KathleenWilce.com. You can find me, Kathleen Wilce, Instagram. You can find me Facebook, or if people still do that. Twitter is Kathleen Wilce. Everything my name will bring up, basically all my accounts on Twitter, Instagram, and I also have a YouTube channel, Kathleen Wilce. So definitely, yeah. Thank you so much. Such a wonderful time talking with you, Stevie. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You too. This was such a powerful Girl Talk. And Neriata is here. I will see you tomorrow, girl. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow at 4 p.m. We're kicking the week off with 2 amazing Girl Talks. And guess what? It's Paris Fashion Week. So make sure you guys stay tuned to see some of the most outrageous fashions that I will probably be wearing throughout this week. Stay tuned for that. I love to take risks. I love you all, fashion dolls. And remember, like Kathleen says, know your value, know your worth. You are important. And more importantly, again, as I said, there's nothing wrong with being an independent woman and thinking for yourself. One of my favorite actresses is Grace Jones. And I love her. I love how bold she is. One thing she stood for was being a woman and just being unapologetic and being bold. So to my ladies out there, go into the new year. If you're making a career move in the boardroom or whatever, or if you're going for an acting role, go in there with passion. The actor directors want passion. And more importantly, they want to showcase that you are who you are, human. So make sure that you guys are going for whatever it is passionately. I love you all, fashion dolls. Thank you for tuning in to Style by Stevie, and I will see you tomorrow with actress Neriata Velasquez. So tune in tomorrow at 4. And Kathleen, thank you for this wonderful Girl Talk, and I hope you guys took something from it.
Thank you, Stevie. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I wish you the best. And God bless. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye. Bye, everyone.